Man, what's going on here? Um, Trying to use a new program. I don't know, I'm not sure what this joint is saying. But anyway, thanks for pressing play on another Pay Me No Mind clip. Actually, it's going to be some bite down boxing talk presented by the Pay Me No Mind Sports and Entertainment channel. Getting into this to yesterday's the best fight of the weekend. It was the best fight of the weekend on paper going into it, and it lived up to all of the build up. Um, Josh Taylor from Scotland defeats Regis Prograis in the finale of the World Boxing Super Series super lightweight tournament. He hoists the Ali Trophy. I don't know why they wouldn't take that man's gloves off, but hoists the Ali Trophy, and then as well as takes lifts Regis Prograis' WBA belt off of him to add to his IBF belt, and to kind of set up a showdown with Jose Ramirez, who has the WBC and the WBO. We'll see, how the powers that be get together and try to make that or not. But anyway, getting into the fight, man, phenomenal fight, and it kind of hurt the rest of the weekend for me. It really hurt my interest in the Gonzalez and Shakur Stevenson fight late. It was like, where's the rumble? But anyway, I think early on, the one thing that you saw was that Josh Taylor could deal with Regis's power relatively well. We knew about the size difference. I thought it was an exciting aspect of the fight to watch early on, with Regis standing inside or mid range, more mid range, that upper body movement, missing, making Taylor miss a lot, busy with the jab. Maybe through the first round and a half, and then I think, Taylor moves inside, and it seemed like as he was going for his hooks and stuff, he was off, he was inaccurate, and I felt like that was because Regis was reading him. He was feeling his body as he was moving to go with his punches. That's a key for Regis to duck, or something is coming. And I felt like he was slipping those shots early on, and Taylor was missing badly. I think once you get into the third, fourth rounds, you see that Taylor kind of backs off of him a little bit. He's not able to feel his body and not get those keys of what he was doing. He started landing those hooks and started catching him more. He was able to see what he was hitting at, what he was swinging at. And then I think another thing is that I thought it was dope. Even though they're both southpaw, Regis really kind of has that really extreme or awkward southpaw angle to me that keeps his power hand is just a long ways away from his target, and he's flat footed. He fights flat footed quite a lot, and he just couldn't get in position to really catch Taylor cleanly with his left hand, and he was doing a whole lot of triple, double jabbing, with just kind of clubbing with the jab and working from that. But he wasn't really landing, a lot of the bigger, more effective shots when Taylor made that adjustment, to kind of keep I call it mid range, to kind of operate from in there and then outside as well. But then Taylor squares up more, starts bulling inside and throwing straighter shots and really getting into some banging. And like I said, Regis is still in that awkward angle where he can't throw the straight punches. He's not landing straight punches. So I thought that was dope how Taylor changed up, coming in and being more squared up and closing the distance and getting in and out at sometimes and just varying up his game. I felt like Regis really with his approach and the fact that, like, he really thought he was gonna touch Taylor and Taylor was gonna wither or wilt. That never happened, and he didn't have a plan B and a plan C to really get to change it up. And his energy level was kind of, and his activity was kind of down in those rounds, 5 through 10. And Taylor is just banging away, making good contact, dropping those hooks on him. Uh, Regis's nose was bloodied up. Rounds like 6 through 9. At that same time, Taylor's I think it was his right eye, which was his lead side. His right eye is starting to show damage. They're going at it, but like I said, I think Taylor, in my opinion, is getting the better of the action. And then we get into the final rounds, and after not looking listless, but being out hustled, being outworked by the bigger man, Regis comes out in the 11th and 12th, really understanding in this championship time, probably understanding. I think he even mentioned it afterwards. He knew he had to close strong based on the rally by Taylor in the mid rounds, and he comes out and really he's on his feet, he's on his toes a little bit more, and mixing it up well. And I think he won the last 2 rounds. Even hurt Taylor there in the 12th and final round. Finally, visibly hurting. And but like I said, man, Taylor's an interesting guy, and this isn't trying to be stereotypical or funny. I mean, he kind of looks like he has that body, like one of the players off of Hoosiers, the movie Hoosiers. He might, I don't know if it's a tennis guy body or some of those Duke and Kentucky players, basketball players from the 90s. He doesn't have those athletic looking legs. He kind of wears his trunks a little high and short, and he just kind of is out there. But you don't need all of that stuff in boxing. You don't need great calves, great pecs, the traps. You don't need that V taper and all of that stuff. You don't need all of that in boxing. But he's got an interesting skill set. He's a fighter. He's tough. He's kind of and you saw that early when they were talking trash after the Baranchik fight. When he came in the ring and they did the stare down. He's very comfortable in his own skin. Like I said, man, he's an exciting dude to watch. And he took apart. I told you this, in the preview video that I did earlier, and I did everything but say that Taylor was gonna win this fight because I was really rooting for my man Regis, the American. But tons of respect for what Taylor and he's not that. I've been watching some of these Euro guys the last year or so with having more access, to the Euro fight scene, and you see some things that leave some questions with some of the fighters that you're watching. A Cheeseman, the Fowler guy, Fitzgerald. You see some things and you try to put it together how that would work out with American fighters, or just what would be the mix internationally and all of that. And you had those questions. But looking at Taylor, man, the way that he took apart Ryan Martin, just totally outclassed him. I thought he did better than Baranchik. Being that Baranchik was a champion, made him look bad. The dude can flat out fight. So I left my notes in the other room, but the decisions. I think that one card was what? It was one wide card. I thought it was a 7-5 fight. Huge, effort by both men. Very respectful. I like a good fight, man, where the dudes are stern. It's competitive. There's a bit of animus there for the fight purposes. But then you saw right after the fight, Regis was like, hey, man, I ain't even going to beat around the bush. I talked my trash and I said what I had to say beforehand. Tonight, the better man won. And he takes my belt. I lose my O and all of that. But it was just his night. And it was no need to, he didn't say nothing about the crowd. The refereeing, he didn't complain about the judges. The better guy just won that night. And I think his effort, Regis' Prograis' effort, the way he conducted himself after the fight is going to bode well for what his next moves are. And then, Taylor is a guy that more U.S. fans, he's going to be on their radar. I had at roundbyroundboxing.com, I had Prograis breaking into my pound for pound list. I think he was my number 10 guy, I want to say. I might have to swap Taylor in place of that. I think he's that solid of a fighter. But like I said, man, it was a damn good fight, man. Damn good fight. Didn't really want to get into the rest of that card. I will just say the David Price and Chisora fight. I saw very early when Price is waiting and backing up and waiting. Bad combination. The smaller fighter, he didn't want to seem to let his jab go. Looked like he was concerned about being caught with something from the shorter fighter. And it was wide shots, from Chisora. One thing that Deontay Wilder described about Anthony Joshua in the Ruiz fight, he called it a C, the shape of a C in Joshua's back, bending over, into this smaller fighter. And very early, maybe 45 seconds into the fight, you can see that David Price is giving up that height. He's bending over. Like I said, not catching him outside, keeping him outside with the jab, and just being dictated to as the bigger guy. And Chisora basically just was banging, and even though he wasn't catching him early, even though he's landing some shots on his arms and on his guard, he's still rocking him around and jarring him around until those shots started breaking through. And then, instead of, I love how he did the kind of that Canelo shot where you throw that left hand to the body, almost like you're checking what's in your opponent's right pocket. Like tap him over there and then come up top immediately with the real punch, that overhand right. He caught Price with that a couple times. Smart stoppage by Price's corner. After the knockdown. And just, I hate to see it. Like I said, I hate to see a big man not manage the fight in a manner that gives himself a chance to win. And that just lets you know that Chisora was the better man, the better fighter, and it was going to be a tough night for David Price. And, Price is a guy, man, last year this time, he probably looked like a guy who didn't need to fight anymore. He did go on a little run and get a few victories. David Allen, the one Middle Eastern cat, I forget his name, that bit him or whatever. And he's a guy that's battled on and tried to realize the promise that I guess he had coming out of the Olympics and whatnot. All the size and all of that. I can't hate on a man for really being courageous and continuing to fight on. But this fight right here, Chisora, a 32-9, I think is his record or something. But I don't know if he's in that journeyman gatekeeper type position, but he's a professional, and on any given night, he's a tough assignment, for any heavyweight. So I really want to see the Usyk and Chisora fight, or the Parker fight with Chisora. But just like I said, I hate to see a guy just tactically completely be out of his game tactically and not even give himself a chance to win. And like I said, he didn't take a whole lot of damage. Even caught Chisora with that right uppercut, I think, the round before it was stopped. But like I said, man, good call by his corner. He probably could have battled on a little bit more and maybe really gotten dropped, one of those emphatic or highlight reel knockouts. And, his corner intervened and that didn't happen. So hopefully he should see what his ceiling is by now and not really. But what do you know, man? These guys, if they're a fighter and they really like to fight, man, he could find his way into to the ring again, probably in a fight that's more winnable and do what fighters do, man. So that's that. But the rest of those fights, Okoli got the victory. I'm just not a fan of his style. He got the knockout. Connor Ben looked pretty decent, against the guy that he stopped in 3 or 4 rounds. But it was all about Taylor and it was all about Taylor and Prograis, and then a coming out party for Taylor, on the international scene, I think. So look, man, that's about it for me. Let me get on out of here. I gotta go. I gotta go in on on an off day. So again, man, I appreciate all the recent new subscriptions, new subscribers. Um, and that's it, man. Bite down boxing. Don't let them count you out. Peace.